So there I am, thinking I need to prove to the State of Israel that I was actually born, which feels like the bureaucratic equivalent of being asked to provide evidence that I exist while literally standing there breathing and complaining about the process. Apparently, my decades of living, working and paying taxes aren't sufficient proof that I emerged from a womb at some point in history. No, I need documentation. Official documentation that confirms the revolutionary concept that yes, David Cohen did indeed happen to his parents on a specific date in a specific place. The Israeli Ministry of Interior requires my original birth certificate issued by the country where I was born, and this document must include both of my parents' names listed clearly and completely. Both parents. Like there's some concern that I might have been created through spontaneous generation, or that my birth certificate might be missing a crucial cast member from the dramatic production that was my arrival into this world. They want the full credits for the biological movie that resulted in my existence. But wait, it gets better. Hospital-issued birth certificates, regardless of how official they may appear, are not sufficient for Aliyah purposes. Hospital certificates aren't good enough. The place where I was literally born, where someone literally witnessed my emergence from my mother, where they literally cut my umbilical cord, that place apparently lacks the proper governmental authority to confirm that I was born there. It's like saying the restaurant can't confirm you ate there, only the Ministry of Eating can issue official dining certificates. I need a birth certificate from the General Register Office, which sounds like either a military command center or the world's most boring office building where civil servants spend their days filing paperwork about people's biological achievements. Congratulations, Johnson. You've successfully documented another human birth. Your efficiency at confirming obvious biological events is truly inspiring. And naturally, this perfectly valid government document about my birth isn't valid enough for international use until it gets an apostille. An apostille. I need the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office to confirm that yes, the General Register Office really did issue this document about my birth, and yes, they really are authorized to know about births, and yes, this piece of paper really is a piece of paper. It's authentication for authentication's sake, like getting a receipt for your receipt. The apostille process costs £30 and takes 2 to 3 weeks, which means I'm paying the government to confirm that the government's own documentation about my birth is legitimate government documentation. I'm basically buying a stamp that says, this stamp is a real stamp issued by people authorized to issue stamps about stamps. It's like bureaucratic inception, where each level of verification exists to verify the verification. But here's where it gets properly mental. If my birth certificate doesn't include my parents' names, I need what's called a long-form birth certificate. A long-form birth certificate. Like there are different lengths of birth certificates, ranging from tweet-sized birth confirmations to novel-length biographical birth documentation. Sorry, your standard birth certificate is too short. We need the extended director's cut version with bonus features and commentary from the midwife. The requirement for both parents' names creates this wonderful situation where I need to prove not just that I was born, but that I was born to specific people who were authorized to create me. It's like needing permission slips for my own existence. Yes, these are indeed the two humans who were responsible for my biological production. And here's governmental confirmation that they were legally qualified to participate in the reproductive process that resulted in me. Name discrepancies between my passport and birth certificate require additional documentation to establish the connection between my current legal name and my birth name. So, if I have ever changed my name for any reason, marriage, divorce, adoption, or just deciding that Dave suited me better than David, I need to provide a complete paper trail documenting every alteration to my identity. It's like needing a biography of my name, complete with character development and plot twists. I'm sitting there with documents spanning decades, trying to create a genealogical timeline that proves I'm the same person I've always been, just with different surnames along the way. Chapter 1. David is born as David Cohen. Chapter 2. David becomes David Smith through marriage. Chapter 3. David reverts to David Cohen through divorce. Chapter 4. David considers changing his name to something completely different just to see how many apostilles he can collect. The timing requirements are particularly delicious. These documents have practical expiry considerations, even though birth certificates themselves don't technically expire. Apparently, the fact that I was born becomes less reliable over time, like my birth might have degraded or become less authentic if the paperwork gets too old. Sorry, Mr. Cohen, this birth certificate is from 2022. We're going to need fresher proof that you were born. Have you been born more recently? If my birth certificate is in a language other than English or Hebrew, I need a notarized translation. A notarized translation of my birth certificate. So if I was born in, say, Wales, and my birth certificate is in Welsh, I need someone officially qualified to confirm that yes, the Welsh document really does say I was born, and yes, they're professionally capable of translating the concept of birth from one language to another. This certified translator confirms that birth in Welsh means the same thing as birth in English. Revolutionary stuff. The practical challenge of obtaining UK birth certificates depends on whether I have the General Register Office Index Reference Number, which sounds like a secret code for accessing my own biological history. With the reference number, the process takes 10 minutes and costs £12.50. Without it, I have to pay extra for them to search for evidence of my own birth, like I'm asking them to investigate whether I exist. Could you please check your files to see if David Cohen happened? I'm pretty sure I'm real, but I need governmental confirmation. For urgent situations, priority service costs £38.50 and delivers certificates the next working day. Priority birth certificate service. Like my birth retroactively becomes more urgent if I pay extra. Rush order on the David Cohen birth confirmation. This existence is time-sensitive. But the absolute pinnacle of bureaucratic comedy is that birth certificate requirements extend to all family members making Aliyah, including children, regardless of age. So I need to prove that my 5-year-old daughter was born with Apostille certification, like there's some question about whether she spontaneously materialized in our living room one day. She's literally standing there, speaking Hebrew better than I do, and I need governmental documentation to confirm that she didn't just appear through magic. For families where children were born outside the UK, each child needs birth certificates from their countries of birth, each with their own documentation and apostille procedures. So now I'm coordinating international birth confirmation logistics for multiple countries, like I'm running a global birth verification operation. Today we're getting apostilles from England, birth certificates from France, and translations from Germany. Tomorrow we tackle the authenticity requirements for the toddler's Scottish birth documentation. The security and storage of apostilled birth certificates becomes this weird treasure hunt where I'm protecting documents that prove I exist, like they're state secrets. I'm keeping my birth certificate in a fireproof safe like it's the original Declaration of Independence, because if I lose it, I have to start the entire proving I was born process over again. It's like losing the receipt for your own life. Document verification procedures by Israeli authorities may include cross-referencing my birth certificate information with other submitted documents, checking for consistency in names, dates, and parental information. So they're basically fact-checking my birth, like I might have made up details about where and when I emerged into existence. According to our records, you claim to have been born on Tuesday, but your other documents suggest it was actually Wednesday. Can you explain this discrepancy in your birth timing? The birth certificate requirement becomes particularly complex for adopted individuals because now you need documentation about biological parents for Jewish lineage verification. So adopted people have to prove not just that they were born, but that they were born to specific people who may or may not have been Jewish, even if those aren't the people who raised them. It's like needing genetic receipts for your religious eligibility. Financial planning for birth certificate requirements should include not just the basic certificate costs, but also apostille fees, potential translation costs, shipping expenses, and expedited service fees. For a family of 4, I'm looking at over £200 just to confirm that my family members were born. £200 to prove the obvious. I could throw a party celebrating our collective existence for less money than it costs to document it. The administrative timeline for birth certificate acquisition often represents the longest single component of document gathering, which means that proving I was born takes longer than some people's actual pregnancies. From initial application to receiving apostille documents can take 4 to 8 weeks, which is how long it takes to grow a significant portion of a human being. But apparently that's how long it takes to confirm that a human being was successfully grown 35 years ago. I'm spending weeks of my life proving that I have a life, paying money to confirm that I exist, and collecting stamps that validate my biological reality. By the time I'm done with the birth certificate process, I know more about governmental verification of human existence than most people know about actually existing. But here's the really mental part. The long-term importance of properly apostilled birth certificates extends beyond the initial Aliyah application to numerous aspects of life in Israel. So this isn't just proving I was born for immigration purposes. This is establishing my birth credentials for the rest of my Israeli life. Like I'm getting a lifetime membership to the People Who Are Definitely Born Club, with premium documentation to prove it. Professional consultation becomes valuable when birth certificate situations involve complications, which is basically saying that sometimes proving you were born is so complicated that you need to hire experts in birth verification. There are people whose job is helping other people prove they exist. Congratulations! You've reached David's birth consultant. How may I help you document your biological reality today? Understanding birth certificate requirements thoroughly ensures that this fundamental documentation supports rather than delays your immigration timeline, while providing the solid foundation of verified identity that Israeli authorities require. Because apparently, being obviously alive and applying for citizenship isn't enough. You need professional-grade proof that you successfully transitioned from non-existence to existence at some specific point in history. By the end of this process, I'll have governmental confirmation of my birth that's more thoroughly documented than most people's university degrees. I'm not just making Aliyah. I'm making Aliyah with comprehensive international certification that, yes, I really did happen, and yes, it really was to specific people, and yes, the whole thing really was properly witnessed by appropriate governmental authorities. Though I do wonder what happens if they reject my birth certificate. Do I cease to exist? Do I need to be reborn with proper documentation? Sorry, Mr. Cohen, we can't accept your birth. Please try being born again, but this time with better paperwork.